Well, after over a year and a half, it made it. StarLink is in Hawaii. Yeah. Welcome to the Life Aloha, and thanks for watching. Please take a moment and hit the subscribe button down below and like this video if it helps you out. So it finally made it. We've got our StarLink internet. And in this video, we're going to unbox it, test its speeds, test the router, and see if it works out here in Hawaii. Hawaii is one of the most remote places in the world that is inhabited. And in the United States, it's got to be one of the most remote places. So let's get to it. All right, right off the bat, I can tell you it's not as big as I thought it would be for a satellite dish. Probably because this is version 2 and it's the rectangular one. It's not the original version, which was a circle, which I never actually saw. Piece of plastic, throw that out of the way. Regulatory notices, throw that out of the way. All right, you have a nice rectangular stand, probably a couple feet wide by 1 foot tall, or vice versa. And then the dish itself, again, not very big, pretty compact, all white. It almost looks like a paper that can peel off. But I'm not going to do that right away. Got a connector on the bottom. Again, looks very well made. Looks very Apple-ish, if you were to ask me. All right, and then your instructions. Now these are very, very simple. Satellite dish. Plug into router. Plug into power outlet. Go to the app. I'm assuming when we get to the app, it'll be a little bit more explanatory, but very simple. Now the router is very clean, feels pretty hefty, nice kind of glass plastic front. The symbolism on the front, it looks like you have planet Earth. Now that's the sun. You probably have Mars and Earth rotating around the sun. Probably a hint towards future SpaceX stuff. And on the bottom, you have power and a plug for the cord. And from what I understand, it's just one cord that goes from here all the way to the satellite dish that supplies it with power and controls the data. So that is very clean, makes for an easy install. And then the cords, here you go. One very, very long cord. Looks like this end right here. Got a good shot of that. Hope that shows up. Like that just plugs in to the bottom of the dish. If we can get a picture of that. I assume it goes in right here. Yep, slides right in. Bam, into the dish. Stand. And you're in. You got a dish. Last thing left inside is your power cord. So let's go outside and hook this thing up and see what sort of speeds we get way out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Ha, almost said Pacific Ocean. I sound like my son. Weird enough, we plugged it in, we haven't gone into the app, and it looks like it started to orientate itself. And even more weird is it's facing basically 90 degrees straight up. Now where we're at, we're within the Tropic of Cancer. So I don't know where the dishes go. I thought they were more all rotating in the northern hemisphere. Oh, there it goes, just moved a little bit. So it might be doing initial searches. You can see it's actually rotating as it goes around. It's kind of cool. I don't know if many people capture this. We'll let it do this for a second. It must be finding satellite dishes. There you go. Now it's actually facing directly north again, angled north. That direction right there is north. I might have said south earlier, but that is north, which is the perfect direction for one of these to face. And let's go into the app right now and do the setup, and let's see if we can get some speeds. Let's see how this does. Again, we are on the farthest north part of the farthest north Hawaiian Island. We are in the middle of nowhere. We do not have great electricity or connectivity to anything. So if StarLink works great out here, that would be great news for anybody else that lives remote or that lives in Hawaii. Let's get right to the speed test. This first test will be the very first time we've tried the internet using StarLink. And for reference, it is pouring outside and it is incredibly cloudy. So let's see what happens. I have to say that I'm pretty impressed. 213 megabytes per second download and 24.2 upload is very good. And I'm pretty sure that upload is faster than our current cable internet. 71 millisecond latency, I think that's a little bit high, but still acceptable. All right, we're gonna run the speed test 2 more times so we can get an average of all 3. And for reference, we are right next to the router, which is located outside inside of a storage shed. So these should be our fastest times as far as proximity to the router is concerned. And at the end, we'll average them all up and see what we get for Starlink's average speed. As we can see, there's quite a bit of variation between the 3 tests. Overall, we ended up with an average of 168 megabytes per second down, 13 up with a latency of 72 milliseconds. Next, we'll do a speed test with the traditional Spectrum cable internet, see what the results are, and compare the two. As expected, Spectrum is quite a bit faster on the download as it is a cable internet, but surprisingly, it's not much better. In fact, it's worse on average on the upload. So overall, Starlink is about 100 megabytes per second slower on the download, and it's actually a bit faster on the upload, and there's really nominal difference in the latency. All in, Spectrum speeds really aren't that bad. 168 megabytes per second download is very good for such a remote location. It's well enough for us to do any of our streaming or uploading or anything that we need to do. And if Starlink can maintain these speeds, especially when the power goes out or when we have random outages on Spectrum, I think it's well worth it, especially since it's actually $30 cheaper than our current Spectrum internet. I think in summary, Starlink is an excellent solution for those of you that live very remote. Here in Hawaii, at least where we're at, we only have one option, that's Spectrum internet. It does fairly well. It gets over 200 megabytes per second downloads. Its upload speeds are fairly atrocious. The one problem with it is it's somewhat unreliable because it goes down quite often, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 2 minutes, but we stream all of our TV. We basically live off the internet for anything that we have to do remote, and it can be a bit unreliable. We also have lots of power outages here. Sometimes only 5 minutes, sometimes they're an hour, but at least a couple of times a month it's down. And when the internet goes down, the power goes down. Flip that. When power goes down, the internet goes down. Some things to note, I think that the performance is fairly good out here in Hawaii. One thing that's been noted is more Starlink rolls out. People are saying that with congestion, their speeds have gone down. Well, being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, we really don't have a lot of, I guess you could say, competition with other users. In the state of Hawaii, we don't have a huge population. In fact, it's less than the entire city of Los Angeles. So if you think about it, since we don't have competition north, south, east, or west, our next competition would be the west coast of the United States. And the entire west coast of the United States with the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, you've got farther north, Portland, Seattle, down south, San Diego, Los Angeles. That's easily 10 times the competition for bandwidth. Where in Hawaii, I think the next northernmost place is going to be Alaska, and they're a little bit northeast of us, and down south there's nothing. So if you're a user in Hawaii, I think the outlook is very good that we'll maintain high speeds. One, because of lack of competition, and number two, we're on a different time zone. So even if we were in competition with them in the evening, which is probably the most bandwidth intense, especially now with people coming home, streaming shows, maybe doing some work, um, everybody else is 2 to 3 hours at the earliest away from us. So as they're going to bed, we're still awake and taking advantage of all of that bandwidth. So again, in summary, I think it's looking good for Starlink in Hawaii. It's definitely competing with the internet that we have available, which is Spectrum. I know other parts, especially in Honolulu and on Oahu, they have a little bit more options. I think they have some fiber options, but for those of us that are really remote, I think that Starlink is going to work out. Again, subscribe. It's a very new channel. Anything you do can help. Future, we're going to do some travel videos. We're going to do some more homesteading videos. We're going to build a large 100-foot by 20-foot garden at some point. So if you're interested in any of those, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Have a great day. Aloha.